Welcome, droids yearning to breathe free. Geek Salad's retro movie reviews from the Geek Salad podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
And we have a very special guest joining us for the final installment of our Star Wars retro movie reviews. He has been an occasional contributor on Geek Salad. Matt Jones.
Howdy.
All the way out from California. So that's why it's only 5:30 out there.
It's still light out here.
Shut up. Shut up.
And it's probably warmer too.
Very much so. Yes.
Yes.
Although this is what they consider winter out here. It's about 68 and everyone's walking around in parkas and scarves. So
Pussies.
Yeah, seriously. Come on. So, today we are going to conclude our Star Wars reviews of the lesser regarded Star Wars movies. Whether or not you like them is totally up to you. And we're concluding with 2018's Solo, A Star Wars Story.
Yes.
Which Mike is holding up right there. He's got the Blu-ray.
There it is. Hello.
I will tell you, have you guys watched the Blu-ray? Or Matt, did you watch it today? Did you watch it on Blu-ray or Netflix?
Just the regular DVD.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Did you watch any of the extras?
No, I have not watched any of the extras yet.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we talk about some of the scenes. I'll let you know some of the really cool things that you learn on the extras.
Okay.
Solo, A Star Wars Story was released early last summer, May. 6 months, not 6 months after the last Jedi was released. What's that, Joe?
No, it wasn't even. It wasn't. It was just about 5 months after, almost 5 months after Last Jedi was released.
Right, and
which, given the controversy surrounding Last Jedi, kind of seems like not the best marketing decision by the folks at Disney.
They chose poorly.
They chose very poorly.
I
mean, that's not to talk about the quality of the film, which we'll get into, but
I mean, they were in a kind of catch-22 situation. If they pushed it off for like 6 months, they would have been, oh wow, well, it must suck, because they pushed it off so long.
Well, Solo was a movie that just really had a lot of shitstorm going around. It was never going to win, no matter what. I don't think.
Yeah. I'm assuming we've all seen this in the theater. Matt, did you see this in the theater?
I saw it in the theater and then watched it again yesterday on DVD.
Excellent.
First time I've seen it since the theater. Yeah.
Joe, Mike, and I all saw it together, so I don't know why. I'm assuming all the three of us saw it in the theater. We all were there.
We were all there.
I think I saw it. No.
I have to admit, I really enjoy this movie. Actually, out of the two Star Wars stories, because it was going to be this or Rogue One, I actually like this better than Rogue One.
I actually concur.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I went into it with very lowered expectations, but it was such a good time. Whether I like it more than Rogue One, I keep it even with Rogue One.
Okay. How about you, Matt?
I mean, I enjoy both of them equally, and I love Rogue One. So I mean,
right.
Tell you how much I enjoyed Solo.
Right. How about you, Matt?
Kind of like Joe, I went into this with pretty much zero expectations, just because of the shitstorm of the drama that came about with all the filming and all the reports we were hearing, and the directors being replaced, and Disney delaying it. And I enjoyed myself thoroughly watching the movie. Watching it again yesterday, I think I enjoyed it even a little more.
It definitely is a movie that requires that deep dive for the second viewing, just to pick up on how many little Star Wars Easter eggs.
Tons that I completely missed the first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
It definitely is. I don't want to say it's fan service, because it was already kind of in the can by the time Last Jedi came out.
Well,
so
I think you can clearly say that of the Disney era Star Wars, it's the most fan service of all the movies right now.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree.
You know, I mean, the thing with Rogue One is the most fan service that Rogue One has is, tacking on the, Darth Vader at the end. I mean, that's his most fan, but if you're a real deep dive Star Wars fan, Solo had everything you've ever wanted.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, my coworker, whose name also happens to be Joe, who was just, oh God, he hated The Last Jedi. I get a text from him immediately after he gets out of Solo, and he says, "This was everything a Star Wars movie should be." And as much as I love this movie, I kind of feel if that's the reason why you like this movie, because it was a fan service movie, then
yeah,
maybe this isn't really the movie for you. This actually has a decent story. It kind of follows the MCU style of movie telling too, where it's like, this is your heist movie, this is your Ant-Man.
Yeah,
this doesn't have to follow the spies, and it doesn't have to follow the war movie. This is just, we need to get this, and we need to get this in X amount of time to do this.
Yeah. I gotta say though, as much as I really liked Alden Ehrenreich. Sorry, it's not an easy name to say.
The name of a movie star.
I apologize. It's not an easy name to say. I think we'll all pretty much agree that the scene stealer was Donald Glover.
Oh, without a doubt, easily.
I mean, he was certainly. I mean, I remember when they cast him, and it was just like, well, duh. Who else are you gonna cast?
But again, it's one of those things like Alden. Oh, jeez.
See,
just call him Alden. We'll know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing that Alden is sort of like the personification of the movie, in that he will never win, just because he's taking the mantle of such an iconic character. It's like, I mean, I remember when we heard that Ewan McGregor was cast as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and nobody really batted an eye, if I remember correctly. I mean, this was the dawn of the internet, so maybe my memories are a little rose-colored, but I don't remember the kind of backlash to Ewan McGregor being cast as Obi-Wan Kenobi as there was to Alden Ehrenreich being cast as Han Solo.
I think you're right, because like you said, that was the pre-Twitter era. Mm-hmm. Well, even if there was any backlash, it never really spread very far. And I remember thinking, oh, well, of course Ewan McGregor is going to be young Obi-Wan. He's perfect. Kind of the same thing you said with Glover.
And the thing, and that's kind of the thing is Ewan McGregor grew into the role where for a generation of Star Wars fans, he is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
And that's why kind of ashamed that maybe Solo may not get a sequel or subsequent follow-ups, because I think given some time, Alden would have grown into the role of Han Solo, and he would have been accepted as Han Solo.
And considering all the backlash you heard going into it about, oh, he's terrible, and Disney wants all these reshoots, and they had to hire an acting coach, I didn't think he did a bad job at all.
No,
I mean.
And for him, it was
room to grow. Obviously, tons of room to grow. But for a start, I thought he did all right.
And he got the fundamentals of Han Solo down.
Yes,
that was more important than being Harrison Ford. He needed to be Han Solo. The smirk, the
kind of carefree attitude, the supreme confidence in himself that he'll get himself
going brashness of a young Han Solo.
Right.
What I think a lot of people were expecting was the Han Solo from Episode 4. And the thing is, this movie is all about getting to that Han Solo from Episode 4. Right, this is Han Solo before Episode 4, getting to that.
This is supposed to take place like 10 years before Episode 4 took place. So.
Yeah. And it just, overall, I mean, I really enjoyed this story, and I am a huge kind of like, let's get off of these stories that don't do anything to move the new narrative forward. I'm kind of done with the Clone Wars, the in-betweens between Clone Wars and A New Hope. We've explored, I think, everything we possibly can with that. We've had the Clone Wars cartoons. We had Solo. We haven't been able to move the story forward yet. But at the same time, all he's doing is, this movie was just there to fill in the blanks, to get to know Han Solo a little better. Whether or not you needed it, I certainly enjoyed the ride.
Right, exactly. I mean, and I'll be the first to admit, when they announced the standalone Solo movie, I was like, nobody asked for this. I was one of those, like, nobody asked for this. Nobody really wants to know the backstory of Han Solo. Han Solo was a fully formed character for a lot of people in a lot of people's mind. So having said that, I enjoyed the ride. Like you said, Andy, I enjoyed the ride of seeing a young Han Solo.
Yeah, absolutely. The fun things too is that what's fun watching this, especially the second time. I don't know, Matt, if you caught on this, or Joe or Mike, watching it on your second viewing, picking out the Lord and Miller stuff.
I never tried to kind of identify the parts.
Just to see, I mean, the one part that stands out to me that it was definitely not a Ron Howard thing. It was definitely the Lord and Miller thing. Was at the very beginning when Han says he's got a thermal detonator and he picks up that rock. And like, that's not a thermal detonator. That's a rock, and you just made a clicking with your mouth. And like that could have been in the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the comedic dialogue was very much in the vein of Lord and Miller.
Well, there's that line too where they're trying to avoid the TIE fighters during the Kessel run, and he's like, "This is a maneuver a guy I knew on Corellia tried. Of course, he died doing it, but maybe we'll get lucky."
This is just what he did before he crashed and died.
What about L337? Do you think?
Okay. Well, we'll get into L337 in a second, because I want to go a little more chronologically with these characters, because this is what builds to the making of Han Solo, intergalactic smuggler, and scruffy looking nerf herder.
Hey, who's scruffy looking?
Me. That's it. I mean, you have Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, which I never thought I wanted Woody Harrelson
in the Star Wars movie, but
in the Star Wars movie, I'm totally cool with it. It's like you could tell where he gets his kind of a lot of his devil may care attitude is kind of just taken from Beckett. Beckett is Han Solo version V.05.
If Han had never fallen in with the rebels and met Luke and gone that path.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
He's very much a mentor figure.
The thing that I enjoyed about Beckett's character and the way Woody Harrelson played him was he very much, and that's kind of keeping in the theme with within the theme of the movie, was they gave him a very much a kind of Western outlaw swagger to him.
Yeah,
that really kind of fit the character, and that Woody Harrelson really pulled off. And you can kind of see hints of that, of where Han Solo, the later Han Solo, picks that up.
Yeah,
I agree. What are your thoughts on Cora, Emilia Clarke's character? Because Kira, sorry. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, the weakest link in this entire movie.
It's nothing against Emilia Clarke's acting ability. I think she did what she could with what she had. I don't know that she was a totally necessary character. I mean, I can understand that Han needs kind of a female foil or a love interest to kind of, I don't know.
I think that Han needs a dame to do him wrong, which essentially is just that last nail in the coffin to make Han Solo devil may care smuggler and scruffy looking nerf herder. He needs to get hurt badly by somebody.
He in the beginning of this movie, you can tell how much he cares for her, and I think the purpose that she served, like you said, Andy, was to kind of put that nail in the coffin to allow him to become the Han we all know, who could care less.
Right, exactly. It's not fun watching Han care about people.
No, it's like you got to watch out for yourself in this galaxy, kid.
With the exception of Chewbacca, obviously, he's got to care about Chewie, and we'll get to Chewie in a second. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Kira does feel to me like one of those extended universe novels.
I mean, that is the thing for me about Kira. I really liked her character. I liked kind of like the switch that like we see the beginning and then we kind of see the middle of her character, but it felt like they didn't tell her entire story. I mean, that's why kind of like that post credit that was it a post credit sequence or was it just at the end?
No, was Star Wars credit.
Just at the end, right?
Just at the end, yeah. That it felt like they were kind of teasing kind of the continuation of her story and how it interacts with the rest of this universe. But it felt like we didn't get all of the story of her, which I think is probably to the detriment of her character.
I think that they had her set up as kind of being the go-between. If this movie had done better and they decided that this was going to be a new trilogy, I don't think it was going to be so much a Han Solo trilogy more than a Black Sun
trilogy,
where it's more about the inner workings of the intergalactic underworld than anything else. That's why you're kind of teasing that Darth Maul is coming back. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't watched the movie. What are you doing watching this? But it just feels like she probably would have gotten more development
in subsequent movies. Yeah,
in subsequent movies, exactly. Had they actually had a a Lando Calrissian movie, and then maybe a Tales of the Bounty Hunter movie or something like that already in place. And it kind of leaves her dangling because I don't think we're ever going to see the Kara character again outside of books.
I can see it.
Yeah, outside of the comic books and
or maybe if they bring back Star Wars, the Tarakasi video game.
Oh, Andy, come on.
Oh my God, no, I can't let that go. I really can't let that go. Well, it's just one of those things. I was like excited when they made that reference in the movie. Like, okay, yay, it's the video game. Until I watched that Bob Chipman video, I had no clue how far back Tarakasi went as a Star Wars fighting style and just how stupid it is.
It was PS1.
It was PS1, Mike.
So you're talking about like Virtual Fighter.
In the very near future, Mike, we're going to talk about that game at length. Matt, have you ever played the Legends of the Tarakasi video game?
I'm aware of them, but I've never played them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, essentially, it's Star Wars Mortal Kombat game where lightsabers don't cleave people in half.
Yep.
So, all right, Chewbacca. Did you guys like how they introduced Chewbacca?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I thought it was a clever kind of take on the Chewie Han mythos.
Yeah,
it was also kind of like a callback to the Rancor pit.
Yes,
that's the first thing I thought of when Han went down the thing. I'm like, oh, this is Han's Rancor scene.
Yeah, except
not expecting that there would be Chewie that would be down there.
Yeah. I like that a lot because I know that the story has, and they've always kind of stuck with it, even through the sponging the extended universe and just going with canon that Chewie was in Imperial custody and Han rescued him.
Right.
And they kept that. It was enjoyable though, even though, Han's Mary Sue moment is that he can also speak Wookiee.
Well, I mean, they never really said where.
You don't move the story without him, doing that.
I mean, they never said where it came from, but I mean, when you meet him in Episode 4, he can already fluently speak, well, at least understand Wookiee. So he must have learned it at some point along the way.
I know,
like Finn asked in The Force Awakens, you can understand him.
Yeah. We're an old married couple. Of course, I can understand him. Yeah, no, I really like that. I also like too that the only reason why Han was given any passage by Beckett is because he had a Wookiee with him.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get a 7 foot tall, thing.
Murder machine. Yeah.
Off. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's face it. If you're buddies with a giant Wookiee, you can pretty much punch your own ticket there.
I agree. I agree. I'm coming as a blank with the other two characters in Beckett's crew. I know one of them was voiced by Jon Favreau, who
the guy with the forearms.
The forearms, who was pronouncing it Wookiee, which, come on, man, this is 42 years of my life. Stop doing that. Stop doing that.
And then there's the other
character whose name, unfortunately, I forgot.
Tandy Newton's character was named Val.
Val. All right, yeah.
I thought she was going to be Sana.
All right.
Oh.
Well, if you followed the comics, then you know who Sana Solo is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sana Solo. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Tandy Newton is such a good actress. She kind of feels very underutilized in this.
Well, I think Beckett's crew really got the short end of the stick of the entire movie.
Well, half of them get killed off right away.
They get killed off in the first part of the first act.
Val and the other guy, looked it up on Wikipedia. Rio Durant was the character's name.
Rio,
right.
yeah.
Rio, yes.
I got it on Wikipedia right here.
Is that a play on Duran Duran's Rio?
Oh, I don't know.
It sounds like
it is. Why? It's hard to get attached to people that die in the first portion of the second act.
Especially when they have potential, like that, like Thandie Newton's character had potential to be more.
Yeah,
and then just have it wiped out just like that. It's like, oh, that's kind of a waste. But
it's just that, she's so good on Westworld. You wanted to see her do something of more substance in this.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Lando, because that's really what we came here to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, when we all heard that Donald Glover was cast, it was just obvious. It was like the perfect choice.
Right. He's the only man smooth enough to play Billy D.
And he did. He was on it. I mean, he really owned the movie, basically. And the scenes that he was in, he owned it.
It was so perfect. I kind of want to see a commercial for Colt 45 starring Donald Glover.
Yeah, he really nailed a lot of like the little nuances, just like Alden Ehrenreich nailed the Han Solo-isms. Donald Glover, I'm assuming Donald Glover is a massive Star Wars fan.
Oh God, yeah.
And I'm sure that he's lived his entire life just trying to emulate. He watches Return of the Jedi, watches Empire Strikes Back, and knows that this is the only character he can really identify with. Let's make the most out of it.
He was a more fully formed Lando than Alden was. Alden was more of a raw proto Han, whereas Donald Glover was much closer to becoming Lando.
Right, Lando was already Lando.
Yeah,
right. Lando had the cape. Lando has. Go ahead, Joe.
By the time we meet Lando, I mean, he's already. He's got a YT 3300 freighter completely outfitted the way he wants it. So he's been playing
with
this
a
game
cape closet.
Yes, I love the cape closet.
The cape closet.
I love the cape closet. The fact that it has a full bar. It's so clean. I mean, I got my son the Millennium Falcon for Christmas. The Solo Millennium Falcon, and it's so just pristine and white. And it still has the escape pod attached to it. Which, by the way,
the thing is, don't you expect that's how Lando would have it?
Oh, absolutely.
When he's trying to charm the ladies or L337, it doesn't do to come into a dingy freighter.
Right. Meanwhile, when Han and Chewbacca take it over, it's like da 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 da.
See, that's the difference. Lando is a fine wine served in a pristine bottle. Han is just a beer that you just chucks when it's done.
It's an on sale 12-pack.
Done.
Yep.
Getting another one.
But I mean, he's so good, and the fact that Lando has got these great stories that are just they're tall tales where he always comes out on top.
Yep.
And he doesn't know what it's like to lose, and the fact that at every turn Han does something that is just at that moment the worst thing that has ever happened to Lando in his life,
and it just keeps getting worse. And it's just seeing Lando's reactions every time something happens.
Yeah. I love how, too, it accumulates at the very end.
Yeah.
Here, he's looking at the Falcon, and it's just a wreck.
Just like wreck on the beach.
Around him, and he goes, I hate you.
I know.
I know.
Oh, it was so perfect. It was so perfect. And then, Mike, you want to talk about LL or LS?
L337. Leaked.
Yes. I got to admit, I really enjoyed her. I didn't think I was going to.
I mean, it was, extreme robot, just liberation.
Robot fighting, yes.
Yeah.
With a cameo by Clint Howard, because it can't be a Ron Howard movie without his creepy looking brother.
But just the fact that, she's basically a female version of Bender.
I wouldn't even say she's Bender. You know who she reminded me of? And Mike, this is going to go over your head. Matt, do you watch Game of Thrones?
I've seen the first season of it, but that's it.
Okay, so you have not been introduced to Brienne of Tarth.
No.
Gwendolyn Christie, who actually plays Captain Phasma in Star Wars, plays this character called Brienne of Tarth, who has a very, very strict code. And she's also very tall and very proper and knows the difference between right and wrong. The droid is just, it's her in droid form. Would you agree, because you watch Game of Thrones?
Well, she's Brienne Tarth, but taken to an extreme.
Yes.
Like in Star Wars lore and Star Wars canon, droids get their memories wiped every so often, periodically, because of what happens with droids like L337. They start to go a little mental and start thinking things that they shouldn't.
It's the AI. It just immediately begins to gain.
Becomes self-aware. Becomes very self-aware and start talking about droid rights.
Right, exactly. I love the fact too that the for the first time we've seen in a long time, the restraining bolts have made a comeback, and it's just like they're still stupid easy to take off.
I do love the fact that the conclusion of L337's arc, and the fact that kind of ties into Empire Strikes Back, where I don't know where your computer learned to communicate, but it has the most peculiar dialect.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was thinking that too when they took her. They essentially took her consciousness and placed it into the Falcon. That she's part of the ship now, and it's like that's where she got that peculiar dialect.
Yep.
Which is fantastic, because you think about if C-3PO was talking to the Falcon and it's just saying, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?"
Well, that's actually part of canon in the I forgot which novelization. It was either Last Jedi. It was either Force Awakens or one of the novelizations. They said that the Millennium Falcon hates C-3PO because he's just so uptight and prim and proper. But the Falcon loves R2-D2 because R2-D2 loves to gossip and tell dirty jokes.
Because
R2-D2 also has never had his memory wiped.
True.
That's right.
That's right. So
he's closer to L337 than C-3PO is.
Yep.
It's funny too, because on Twitter today, Geeky Retro Nerds actually was asking how many instances can you count of profanity in the Star Wars series, and I'm like, tons. R2-D2 cursed up a blue storm. I came this close, but avoided the fact that he was dropping the N-word, and he's super anti-Semitic. He's so yeah. I mean, just character-wise, I really liked everybody. Paul Bettany's character was your typical just sleazy villain.
Yeah, it was a typical he was Jabba the Hutt without being a slug.
But he had the laser
late too. He came in after Ron Howard took over, because that was originally supposed to be a CGI character. It was played by somebody else.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
And when Ron Howard took over, they went back to reshoot that, but the actor they had cast originally was not available, so they had to recast Paul Bettany on the fly. Reshoot all of that.
Good for him.
I mean, given that, I mean, he did an okay job. Nothing wrong with what he did. It's just I think as a character, he was like, he was kind of a throwaway character too.
He was kind of one note, but he did a good job with that one noteness.
Exactly.
He wasn't so much.
Go ahead, Mike.
He wasn't so much Jabba the Hutt as he was Prince Shizor.
Oh God! Oh, jeez, Mike.
Shizor. We're getting back to those terrible Star Wars games.
Wow.
I think about it. He's kind of elegant. He likes all the fine jewelry and all that, but he's still willing to stab you in the back.
Right. I've always been a fan of Paul Bettany's too. Like before, I was proven terribly wrong by the casting of Heath Ledger as the Joker. I really thought that Paul Bettany would have made an excellent Joker, and then I'm like, oh come on, Heath Ledger. And then obviously I shut my mouth once I saw it because he was awesome. I've always liked Paul Bettany. I've always felt that he could be menacing, and he does an okay job in this. It's not his movie.
No, it's not.
It's certainly not his movie. This movie honestly, if you really want to break it down, the scene that this movie belongs to is the Kessel Run.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Hands down, one of my all-time favorite Star Wars scenes. First of all, because we'd heard about it since the first movie.
Yeah.
I mean, getting back to those extras we were talking about earlier, Matt, they actually show how they filmed the Kessel Run. And what they did was they have the cockpit on a gimbal. And normally you would just do CG and kind of do everything in post-production. They actually had screens in front of them to react to stuff.
Oh, cool.
So while, a lot of that stuff was finished up in post, their reactions are real-time reactions to things. So the ship is shifting because it's on a gimbal, so they're able to move it and everyone can respond to that, but they're actually seeing stuff come at them. Which was really kind of a neat take, and that was all Ron Howard's doing with that. What was interesting was kind of the obligatory addition of the Imperial ships. It's like, here's a TIE fighter, looks somewhat different. Let's go buy the toy. Do you remember what that TIE fighter looked like? It was like a TIE bomber, except like the second pod was like itty bitty.
Well, the second pod was actually had like extra blasters or something like that. It wasn't.
Oh.
It wasn't the bomber. It wasn't the bomb. It was a blast, like a cannon.
Right. I just, oh man, that scene was so tense, and obviously they're gonna make it.
It was great too because he also saw this is where Chewie becomes the co-pilot. Chewie becomes the Han's co-pilot because Kira's trying to figure out how to work the controls. And Chewie gets frustrated, and she moves, and he starts flipping all the switches, and all of a sudden everything starts working.
Right. Wait, when did you know how to fly a ship?
You're 400 years old.
How old? You look good.
That line, man. Just that whole thing is it's so much fun to watch because it does feel, I always enjoy movies when I can tell that the actors involved are having a good time with it.
Yeah. And
I really feel like nobody had like a really bad day on set watching this movie.
And honestly, like, we were talking about like, Alden Ehrenreich kind of progressing to the Han Solo we know.
Yeah.
The relationship between him and Chewie, I thought that was kind of like the best part about seeing him grow, seeing him become the Han Solo we know, because they kind of clicked right away, and that relationship remained throughout the entire movie.
Right, but it was when Chewie came back because Chewie was supposed to go, rescue the Wookiees.
Yeah,
right.
It comes back, and that's when that deal is sealed, and those two characters are inextricable from each other. It's weird now with the Abrams verse Star Wars, that Chewbacca doesn't have Han Solo anymore.
No, but I think, and kind of sidetrack a little bit. I think with the way Chewie saw Han interact with Rey, I think it was very easy. I mean, because Chewie really has no reason to stick around anymore,
right?
So I think he sticks by with Rey because he saw something in the way that Han reacted to Rey that, okay, she's important to Han in some way. I got to stick around.
Absolutely. I mean, overall, it's hard to hate this movie. It really is hard to hate this movie.
I don't hate it. I really.
I'm not accusing anybody of hating this movie. I wish it had a better audience. I really wish this movie had done better without those jackasses who thought that that they were boycotting and that was successful. That obviously wasn't it. It was a burnout. You need these movies to be released in December.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that I think really killed it was it was released so soon after Last Jedi, which I loved. I think it's one of the best Star Wars movies ever made.
Yep.
But it's a very controversial. There was still a lot of controversy.
Mm-hmm. It also didn't help either. It was released 3 weeks after Infinity War.
That too.
And Deadpool.
Deadpool. You're right.
But like another catch-22 that this one had going against it is that it couldn't be released in December because that was probably even a more stacked month than May was. You had Bumblebee, you had Aquaman, you had Mary Poppins Returns. I mean,
but Disney doesn't. I think Disney's in a position, especially with Star Wars, where they really don't have anything to fear from other studios. The only
Aquaman made how much money?
Right, all right. So I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because how successful would Aquaman had Solo been released in December?
Not as successful, but it still would. I think it still would have beaten out Solo because it had a lot of things going for it, and it was a genuinely fun time.
Right. No, I understand that, but I mean, you're talking about a release if they released it around the same time. They released it about a week before Aquaman. I think Solo would have stuck around for that second week. I don't think the weird thing is about just that conversation is the fact that Bumblebee was the best Transformers movie, hands down, and it did terribly.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins, I think, just recouped its production budget with worldwide.
Really, yeah.
And Aquaman did $1 billion.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that if Star Wars had been released at that time, if Solo had been released at that time, it would have eaten in massively.
I think Solo would have been hugely more successful if it was released in December than it was in May.
Right.
I think they should have done November.
No, because by December or even November, by then, I think a lot of the Last Jedi controversy has died down. It's mostly a small but vocal group.
Yeah, like it's 2019. We're having
the rest of the movie going public has already tuned those people out. It's like, okay, you know what? It's just typical Star Wars fanboys. Leave them,
Yeah,
I think it would have been a lot more successful in November or December timeframe. But
it bears repeating every time we talk about a Star Wars movie that nobody hates a Star Wars movie like a Star Wars fan. Matt, how about you? What are your thoughts on this whole? If it was released in December,
I think it probably would have done better at the box office. I think the critiques of it probably would have stayed the same, but just numbers wise, it probably would have done a little better. And I love this movie. I really had to say against it, but
right.
Well, I think, if I remember, the reviews for it weren't scathing.
I'm talking about the reviews. You're right. The reviews weren't scathing. I'm talking about like the online criticism.
Yeah. The fanboys basically
would have been the same.
Right. As we were saying earlier, those fanboys that are just going to absolutely hate Endgame because Deadpool doesn't make an appearance in it.
Exactly. But in reviews wise, I mean, it did fairly well reviews wise.
I believe it's certified fresh on.
I think you're right.
So
you know what, and I think it's going to be one of those movies that 5-10 years from now, the whole Star Wars fandom is going to look back on and say, my God, why didn't this movie do better? It should have done better.
I agree. This is definitely a legacy movie. I honestly think that this latest crop of movies is going to be like that. I really think that, when my kids are teenagers and they go back and they watch The Last Jedi, they're going to be like, wait a minute, people didn't like this movie?
Well, you see, it's funny. You're seeing that now with the prequels.
Yep.
We're 20 years out from the Phantom Menace being released, and the prequel love is there. Because you have a generation that grew up with the prequels are now coming of age, and they're like, "What are you guys talking about? We loved these movies when we were kids."
Yeah, exactly. And as I said before, this series of movies, like we get a movie every year. My kids get that movie every year.
And it's funny. Even McGregor is saying like, I'm so glad that people are now coming around on the prequels.
Yeah.
Because for him, it's like, because he's a huge Star Wars fan, and this was like the dream job for him.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't it be? I mean, any of us would drop everything, I think, if we had a couple of lines in a Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah.
I know Matt would. That's your deal, though.
I would hang up on you all right now.
Exactly. Bye.
And let's face it, the prequels are meme gold.
Oh my God! Well, no, there's that one meme, Joe, and it's the one we use all the time.
Oh yeah, that too.
The Obi-Wan face palm.
Well, I don't know. Have you guys seen the new one that's combining Christopher Robin with Obi-Wan?
Yes.
Who shows up? Hello, Obi-Wan, and then he pulls out 4 lightsabers.
I've not seen that yet. I look forward to seeing it then.
Well, that's the thing. It's like anytime somebody says hello there, you're supposed to respond with General Kenobi.
Reading the books to my son, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is one of the few voices I can do consistently, just because it's so easy. It's easy for me. Damn it. So do you have anything else to say about Solo? I'm with you, Joe. I really think that in a few years, this movie is going to be a curiosity as to why didn't it do better.
Right. And Disney has not given up on the franchise either. They still have 2 sequels in development. They have not given up on it.
Really? I don't know where they are in development. They are. Okay, good.
Lucasfilm has confirmed that they are still in development. Nothing has gone beyond the development phase, but they are still talking more.
Hopefully, then, it gets the green light and we get more stories featuring Alden as Han Solo.
Yeah, he's signed for 2 more. So
hopefully, I mean, with the Mandalorian coming, because you figure the Mandalorian is going to take more of the underworld, a look at the Star Wars underworld.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see that, especially if Taika Waititi is actually voicing IG-88.
Yeah,
he's going to be a comedy sidekick, for God's sakes.
I mean, the fact that IG-88 does nothing in all the movies, I'm fine with that.
Did you ever see that robot chicken?
Oh yeah.
But you know what, Mike? That means it's a clean slate for Taika. To have. He can do whatever he wants with the character now.
Right. Exactly.
He's still on.
He'll be Korg in Star Wars. Korg in Star Wars.
Oh my God, that would be perfect.
Ghost.
That should be really interesting. Also, if you don't think that Bosk is into human trafficking, you're living in a fucking dream world. You all need to wake up.
I can just imagine IG-88. Hello, have you met my friend Dengar? Don't look under his hat. Don't look under his ribbon.
Don't mention anything about the scars. He's really sensitive about the scars. God damn it! Why is Dengar in this too? Oh, don't let me down, Kathleen Kennedy. Oh God! So that was Solo. I really do like this one a lot. It definitely ranks up higher than any of the 3 prequels in my book. Kind of feel like watching it again right now. I'm not going to, but I have like a season and a half left of Game of Thrones to catch up on. So I'm gonna do that.
Well, I've got a few other movies here to deal with too as well. So
yeah, show off. So Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything to plug?
I'm gonna plug the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California. Whenever anyone talks about going to Disney, they talk about Florida. But you know what? We got some cool stuff out here that they don't have in Florida. So, and you can do the entire thing in a day and a half.
That's true. You have the Matterhorn.
We have the Matterhorn, and we're getting Star Wars Land before Florida is too.
Well, Florida, yeah, that's right. You guys are getting that before Florida does.
May 31st. We're all dreading it.
Is Wonderful World of Color open yet?
World of Color is back up and running.
Oh, good, because that's my second favorite nighttime spectacular of all time.
There you go. Yep, it is back up and running as of like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, good.
Awesome. So book your trips now, folks. Matt is one of the excuses I have to actually go out to California to go to Disneyland at some point. Florida's right here.
It's right there. I understand.
About right here. I mean, it's a 3-hour flight, but still.
3-hour flight, but yeah.
Well, I have the bonus that my girlfriend lives just on the street, so
there you go.
Yeah, that's true. Your girlfriend lives in walking distance from Disney, for God's sakes.
Yeah, you got an in, Mike.
Yeah, seriously, shut up.
She's neighbors with me. I'm super close as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, if you had some opinions on Star Wars Story Solo, I mixed that one up. leave a comment below. Please keep it civil. We're just trying to keep the discourse. We're just trying to keep a quiet discourse here.
We're a family show.
Please fuck off.
Hey, disagree all you want, but just don't just say, "Oh, this sucks." And
Kathleen Kennedy needs to be fired.
Nope.
That does nothing.
Exactly. So, give us the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We do this every week. Good Lord, we've been doing this for a year now, every week. Holy shit. So you can subscribe every week. We get new episodes up, exclusive content right here on YouTube. We also get the audio stream of our podcast that Joe, Mike, and I host, Geek Salad, which can be also got at geeksalad.podbean.com. You can download us at Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Music. You can also download the Podbean app for the full archive. You can follow us on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. You can also follow us on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. And that is about it. That does it for Star Wars March. Next month, starting next week, we are going to start our embarkation of Disney April. Usually because it's when either me or Mike is going to Disney. In fact, this time it's me going in May. So our April month is pretty much all Disney except for our May the 4th Star Wars Rift, which will be Return of the Jedi this year. So next week, we're going to start our retro movie reviews with the 2016 classic Moana, which is one of my absolute favorites. And we have a special guest slated for that. So unless something falls through, we'll have a very special guest I'm really excited about having on there. Again, Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
Go forth, be nerdful, and may the force be with you.